Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we are going to get right into the green of something you see pretty much every single day, wood. And we're talking about the difference between hardwood and softwood. I know it sounds super simple, right? I mean, one's hard, one's soft. But as we're about to find out, there's this really surprising botanical secret hiding in the forest. So let's just cut right to it. Is hardwood always harder than softwood? The answer seems like it's right there in the name, doesn't it? But, it's not quite that straightforward. Because the answer is a big emphatic no. And figuring out why is one of those awesome moments where everything you thought you knew gets flipped completely upside down. Okay, so to really get why that is, we've got to properly meet the two main families of wood, and we're going to start with the hardwoods. So what even is a hardwood? Well, the official definition is pretty simple. It's wood that comes from a broad-leaved tree. Think of trees like oak or maple, the ones with those wide leaves that a lot of the time change color in the fall. That broadleaf part, that's the key. And a perfect example of this, mahogany. Just look at that deep reddish-brown color. It's a total classic. It's famous for being beautiful and strong, which is exactly why you see it in so much fancy high-end furniture. Another fantastic one is teak. It's this super hard and durable wood that comes from Southeast Asia, and its toughness is just incredible. That's what makes it perfect for stuff that has to survive the outdoors, like patio furniture or even the decks of boats. And of course, you can't talk about hardwoods without mentioning oak. It's strong, it's reliable, and it is absolutely timeless. If you've got hardwood floors in your house, there is a very good chance they're made of oak. For a lot of us, it's the hardwood we think of first. All right, so that's the hardwood family. Now let's switch gears and check out their counterparts, the softwoods. And you could really call these guys the workhorses of the entire timber world. And here's the deal with softwoods. They come from conifers. These are your cone-bearing trees, the ones that have needles instead of big flat leaves, like pine trees and spruce trees. Yeah, basically, think Christmas trees. Now, pine is probably the most famous softwood, and for a really good reason. It is incredibly versatile. I mean, it's used for just about everything, from furniture and window frames all the way to the roofing on our houses. And that's because it's so easy to find and pretty easy to work with. Then you've got cedar. You probably know its smell, right? That very distinct kind of pleasant aroma. Well, it's also naturally resistant to rot and bugs, which is why people love it for things like lining closets or for roof shingles and outdoor siding. And then there's redwood. This stuff comes from a truly amazing source, the giant conifers way out in California. And we are talking about some of the tallest, largest living things on the entire planet. Just incredible. Okay, so let's recap. We've got hardwoods from broad-leaved trees, and we've got softwoods from conifers. But here's the twist. The real difference between them has absolutely nothing to do with how dense or strong they are. The secret is all about botany. Specifically, it's about how the trees make more trees. And this is the big secret. Hardwoods come from trees called angiosperms. That's just a fancy word meaning the seed is enclosed in something, like an acorn from an oak tree or a cherry with its pit. Softwoods, on the other hand, come from gymnosperms, where the seeds are just bare and out in the open, like the seeds on a pine cone. So the names hardwood and softwood are actually just botanical labels about their seeds, not a measurement of their physical strength. And that leads us right to this quote, which is pretty much the mic drop moment of this whole thing. Hardwoods are not necessarily harder than softwoods. That one sentence just flips that whole common assumption right on its head. And here's the proof that just busts that myth wide open. I mean, take a wood like yew, for instance. It's technically a softwood, but mechanically, it is way harder than a whole bunch of hardwoods. It just proves the point perfectly. The name is simply a way to classify them botanically. It has nothing to do with how they feel. So, okay, that's a cool piece of trivia to have in your back pocket, but why does this actually matter in the real world? Well, let's connect the dots here, because this little fact has some pretty big implications. Get ready for this number. It is just staggering. A whopping 80% of all the timber produced in the entire world comes from softwoods. That's right. These are the trees that literally build our world. And a big reason for that is that conifers tend to grow a lot faster and straighter than many broadleaf trees, which makes them perfect for lumber. So now, when we look at these two side by side, we can see them in a totally new light. Over on the left, you've got oak, an angiosperm, a hardwood. And on the right, you've got pine, a gymnosperm, a softwood. Their totally different botanical origins give them different cell structures, different grain patterns, and ultimately totally different uses for everything from building a house to making fine furniture. It's not just about hard versus soft, it's about using the right wood for the right job. Which brings me to a final thought for you. Just take a second and look around you right now. Your floor, your desk, your furniture, maybe even the frame of your house. Now that you know the big secret isn't about hardness, but about seeds and cones, are you living in a hardwood or a softwood world? Thanks so much for joining me.